When I say the word moving, there are typically two camps of individuals. There's a camp that audibly groans, cortisol already coursing through their veins in anticipation of the incredibly mundane event. The second camp acknowledges the stress, but is excited to sift through and throw out the old, all in preparation for a harrowing new beginning. That second camp is me. Hell, maybe it's only me. Despite having moved well over 10 times in my life, I still always welcome moving. There is something about packing, reminiscing, and pushing on that feels cleansing, even if only for a short duration until the inevitable dust bunnies and poor purchasing choices start to impose themselves once again. So, when developer Witchbeam finally released Unpacking, well, of course, I wanted to sign up for that. However, Unpacking isn't just a video game manifestation of the oddly satisfying subreddit, but instead is a deeply empathetic meta-narrative about what moving and unpacking really means as an event that chapters the book of our lives. Your story starts in 1997, unpacking the quaint and vibrant room of a young child. The room features a loft-style bunk bed with an adorable desk underneath, a small dresser shelf under the window. Two large boxes sit perfectly stacked, seeming gargantuan in the pastel cool tones of the child-sized room, a third box resting on the floor adjacent. Your task? Unpack them. Initially, it seems simple. The flaps on the boxes pop open, and you rustle through the pixel packaging peanuts to uncover your diary, toys, soccer ball, and even your young art supplies. After clicking the items, you hover around the room to find their perfect location, whatever that means for you. Do books go on the shelves that double as your loft bed support? Or do you stash the boring books in the closing drawer, saving room to display your ultra-cool action figures? The room is your oyster. As the protagonist grows up, you time hop alongside them, unpacking the boxes as they move to university, move in with roommates, and more. Now, despite freedom to place objects where you see fit, unpacking doesn't invite uncontrolled chaos, as you are required to put things in rough approximation to where they should feasibly belong. Rumor has it that more heathenish players place their pajamas under their pillow, whereas I always had a dedicated pajama drawer. You cannot, however, simply leave pajamas on the desk or the side table for later. Through experimentation, I found that I could place a bra just to the side of the bathtub faucet. An emergency bra, if you will. Do women need emergency bras? And of course, the water kettle gets set on the kitchen's highest shelf, because when will I be using a water kettle? The gameplay is straightforward, it's addictive, and it's the perfect vehicle for a deceptively subtle inflection point. You see, the items that we unearth from their polystyrene burial speak volumes as to who our character is. Magic markers turn into digital drawing tablets. A love for drawing little original characters parlays into a passion for D&D. But as I personally stumbled through the cluttered cardboard, I slowly began cobbling together what I believed the finer details of our character's life were. How clean are they or aren't they? Are video games a regular priority? Does it matter where spoons go as long as I can personally find them? Seemingly pedestrian choices in where items belong actually allowed me to inject some of my own DNA into the story, fleshing out the framework and further tethering myself to the character. Because in the end, much of that character reflected my idealized self. Thinking back on my time with Unpacking, I've most certainly been forced to heavily consider what moving has really meant to me. Like I said, while most people meet the challenge with groans and anxiety, when I slow down just a little bit, there's often something beautiful to be seen amongst the scattered boxes and tattered drywall. My parents, for one reason or another, moved me and my brothers around what felt like every 2 or 3 years for my entire childhood, up until the day that I moved out at 17. So it's safe to say that moving has chronicled my life, or at least major parts of it. It's chaptered the book that I will inevitably look back on when the final pages are being penned, memories being clustered by where I lived at any given time. I vividly recall the house I was in while being homeschooled for the 5th grade, and all of the memories associated with that period of my life. Silent Hill 3, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, and dial-up internet. Fast forward to turning 16, getting a job and learning to drive, which all took place in an entirely separate home. While moving can be shrouded in negative emotions like losing a job, breakups, or lost loved ones, I look back relatively positively on my wandering past. In my adulthood, I now know that despite setbacks and failures, moving meant my momentum was headed forward. Perhaps that's the newfound perspective in the therapy talking, but regardless, this set the stage for an incredibly profound resonance between myself, my past, and the presentation of Unpacking. Unpacking allows you to glimpse into the subtle moments of a character's life as they move forward, through good and bad. You could even make the not-so-difficult argument that this is really a story rooted in resiliency and hope, one that I think many of us need. The 5 hours I spent with Unpacking will undoubtedly not be the end of my journey, as I foresee revisiting this title every so often for years to come. Now, technically speaking, both visual and sound design in Unpacking are beyond superb. The pixel art style fits that cozy ooh-woo aesthetic, the likes of which Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley fandom will fall in love with. As I continued through the process of putting belongings away, Unpacking also gave me frequent little hits of dopamine via an incredibly satisfying animation where the boxes I'd emptied daintily hover up, fold flat, and blip right out of existence. Like a horse chasing a dangling carrot, I wanted to watch all of those boxes vanish. Additionally, walking alongside you in your Unpacking journey is the upbeat and moving soundtrack that cycles in the background, perfectly punctuating the emotion of your new living arrangements. An additional detail that I would hate to gloss over is the sheer quantity of tactile sounds that have been included in Unpacking as well. Putting the air freshener can on the porcelain toilet tank, the tile floor, or the wooden side table all elicit their own unique clinking and thumping sounds, and this could be said for each individual item. I know, it seems like such a small detail, but as players, we would certainly notice if any of these sounds were off, wrong, or missing. The fact that the sound design is so seamless is a testament to how painstakingly accurate it is. Well, that's it. Unpacking is straightforward, satisfying gameplay with graciously subtle hints of an endearing narrative that will undoubtedly mean many different things to many different people. Whether on Xbox Games Pass or Nintendo Switch, I expect many of you will make a cup of hot chocolate, curl up, and binge the entire fascinating title in a single delightful setting. And then probably judge others on Twitter for where they place things.